Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Help Awaken. Tonight we present our live help and advice along with a discussion. You woke up. Now what? Yeah, should be a good one. Jennifer. Boy, just like the sunrise, Jennifer is there. That's fantastic. Good to see you, Jennifer. I have to say, it has been, oh boy, and you know what? I think I say this a lot. It's been a really busy couple of days. My shoulders, my poor little spine, and most of my body is just finished today. I didn't sleep well last night either. I got about 3.5 hours. And then I've been busy out in the yard again all day because the yard is my holy space. And this year, everybody trashed my holy space. And that's okay. It's sandcastles, you know, but damn it, I'm going to put it back together again. So, yeah, it's been a day. But I was looking forward to this evening, and with good reason. You know, this is a big thing a lot of people face, and more people are facing it all the time. And so we're going to try, you know, most of the people who've listened to me will know that there's some humor in there too. You know, and whether I'm the only one laughing at my jokes doesn't really matter to me. I'm kind of a legend in my own mind. Not really. But okay, so you know, whatever happens, the day is the day, and after this I'm going to go make a final run to the garbage with a bunch more material that we cleaned up. And then after that, I think I'm probably going to pass out somewhere. And excuse me, my nose is bleeding for some reason. One of those occasional things that happens in the summertime with me. A little bit of dryness gets in the nose there. So off to the good stuff. So we woke up. Now what? And this is a thing that pretty much everybody faces who's waking up. You know, and we would call it awakening. But the bottom line is, at some point in your life, you become aware that everything you've been sold, everything that's going on around you, that doesn't make sense anymore. And, you know, once that happens, it's like, okay, now what? And, you know, for people like myself who went through this prior to the birth of the internet, it was tough. There wasn't a lot of material out there. You had to travel to strange and exotic lands to gain the experience, instead of being able to, you know, watch a YouTube video or connect with spiritual leaders anywhere in the globe. And the journey was tough. And as I said, for myself, you know, I don't do, this is one of my last visits to this human existence anyways. And, you know, so for me, everything's had to have been done fairly epically. And that's, you know, everything from my pawn to my existence in this life. And in that, you know, I took the journey of literally walking everywhere. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. Love your jokes. Well, I have one fan. Kelly's actually a fan too. Yeah, she is. And believe it or not, I can actually laugh at myself sometimes after when I watch the replay, you know, because I don't really stay all that present. I let the higher being within me do all the work. So, yeah, and the kids next door, yeah, they're my little fans. It was funny, they came back after a weekend, and we haven't seen them all weekend long, and they were due home today, and we walked outside, And, both of us stepped out the front door, and all you hear from the other end of our Strata parking lot is, Garhen, Garhen, Garhen! And all three of them come whipping down. And that's great. I love the energy of little kids. I really do. And I strive with myself to be more and more childlike in whatever ways that I can and makes sense to me. So you woke up, now what? All of a sudden, you're looking around you and you're going, nothing really seems to make sense anymore. I'm not communicating. I'm no longer understanding, or maybe I'm understanding that there was no understanding in the conversations I was having with people. Those things which I'm doing in my life are beginning to feel empty and meaningless. You're at the precipice. Your eyes are opening. And a lot of people would say, okay, well, you're awake. Yeah, doesn't quite work that easy. We fell asleep really quick. It takes a really long time to wake up. Unless you're fortunate enough to have a completely life-changing, profound moment. But even then, ego can leak back in, and we're going to talk about how that works. There's an old, and this is repeated in Taoism and in Buddhism, and it's repeated in the Bhagavad Gita and in text after text after text. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. As with everything else in life, it is our... Sorry, I just saw Cindy's comment. Hi, Cindy. I don't know. Is there a wrong place to comment? Oh, some of the comments, yeah, the ones that go below the video after. Yeah, I get that. That's all right. We're just glad you're here. Nice to see you. And, okay, I'm going to try to focus just a little bit because, like I said, I'm actually really tired. It's been a long time. And when I'm done, I'm going to go out there and take pictures of what we've created in the backyard here because it's truly going to be something special. And it's all done with our own sweat and blood, as it turns out. Yeah, in every way, splinters, you name it. It doesn't matter. So before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Well, what does that really mean? It means that just as we've talked about over and over and over again, what we're really talking about here is changing the way we think. Altering our perceptions, which is the way we feel about what we think. And this cannot be stressed enough. And, Kelly and I had a little blowout this morning. And, I understand. I love Kelly with all my heart. And she's rushing to comment. Oh, it's funny. And I always talk about being totally open and honest. Right? Don't hide. There's no shame. We're both human beings. Both still subject to ego. Both still on the journey of awakening. Both on the path. And this is the beauty of it. And the little bit of a blow up this morning was over something that was fairly innocuous. But it really came down to the whole authenticity routine. And this is the biggest thing and the only place that we have to keep coming back to start from over and over and over again. And you see, for Kelly, no matter what she says or writes, in her deepest heart, when she looks at herself deeply, and she will not look at herself there, but since I see right through her, it's pretty obvious for me, she wishes her family would do as she wants. That they would understand her point of view and accept it, if not for themselves, at least for her, and then start playing nicey nice again. Because that's what she wants to do. And that is a totally valid and real desire. There's nothing wrong with that desire. And this desire plays more and more into the concept of waking up and what happens next than you may realize, okay? So this isn't some random story. Or Garhen's just saying that to make it appear that it's not some random story. Take your pick. No, it is actually very valuable, okay? And the reason is this. Yes, I became frustrated. I chose frustration. I saw the precipice, and I was raring to jump over the cliff first thing in the morning. It's like, sure, I got energy for this. Why not? A little bit of ego bashing. It wasn't necessarily fair. What I was saying was true, but your delivery, you're responsible for it. And my delivery was not as compassionate as it could be. The bottom line is this. Our perception of what we want is a function of our egoic state of being. It really is. And this is why things like The Secret are full of crap. Even though on a number of levels they're speaking about truth, as we've said before, if we were to egoically get all we want, at whatever egoic state we're in, we would quickly destroy ourselves and the planet. As we're already doing. Thank God there's a delay between the wish and the production of it. That delay is like a safety valve. It gives us a chance to correct our foolish ways before it becomes too late. So you woke up, you know, we're going to take this approach as in a day, okay? So you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden your world is new. You do not communicate in the same way with everyone anymore. You look around you and you know, everything seemed sane yesterday, and now, day one, you've woken up first thing in the morning and everything looks crazy. Even a lot of the things that you're doing is looking crazy. And perhaps you have a loved one, a wife or a husband or a partner of any sort, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or roommates, other people in the home. And you're looking at them and you're beginning to realize that their behavior isn't really sane. Now, you know, we're dramatizing things a little bit, but, you know, underneath it all, this is what the ego goes through. And the destruction begins. This is where the first lash comes into being, you know, and I've really taken a look at Christ and the symbology behind his crucifixion on the cross, and I've come to reinterpret it in a different way, and we're going to do another video on that one day. But at the end of the day, that lash that he experienced, okay, is the lash that is the destruction of our egoic belief systems, our egoic sense of being. And how did we come to that place? The system itself, represented by the Roman soldier, okay, as the government or the system itself, the system literally beat us to the point where we realized that we were suffering. And see, that's the first step. On day one, when you wake up for the first time, what you're really doing is realizing you're suffering. You're realizing that your own behavior and the behavior of the society and the communities around us are responsible for the suffering. And again, keep in mind, we're speaking on a species level here because, you know, I'm sorry, boys and girls, but if it's not all of us, if we're leaving even one of us out, we have not got it yet. I cannot be clearer about this. It is part of our job to become conscious creators and responsible creators. God would not leave one molecule, one atom, one quark, one elementary particle out of his, her, its grand field of love, that sea of consciousness. We as the human race must mirror that if we are to learn. So the destruction begins. Day one. You realize you're suffering for the first time, maybe. You're beginning to realize the source of the suffering and how you've been living life in this haze, in this subconscious sleep. The destruction really does begin. And you will go through one, all, and others that are represented here. The first thing that can happen is that your lifestyle will change. You know, for me, I wasn't certainly a heavy drinker, but I would go out and drink with the boys. You know, when I was back on base, we'd go into Paris and party it up, or drop into Marseille, or, you know, maybe hop a flight to Italy for the weekend and party it up. My lifestyle changed when I had that first awakening. All of a sudden, I didn't see a reason to be in a bar anymore. The same girl that would catch my attention and have me chasing her around like a horny bull was, I felt kind of sorry for her after that awakening. I remember sitting in the bar with my friends. I tried, I really did. And, you know, I couldn't drink enough to not be bored anymore. And I didn't want to even drink. I recognized that the sanctity of my mind was directly responsible for everything that I was perceiving, everything that I was interpreting, and everything that I was choosing to manifest. Friends will disappear. Family will disappear. Your job or your career may disappear. It can feel like the whole world is crumbling around you. All the support mechanisms that you had in place as a member of the sleeping majority begin to crumble. Your friends don't understand you. You don't understand your friends anymore. Why? Because your vibratory state has risen to a point beyond their view. Your new expanded consciousness sees the universe in a way that they simply cannot see it. They can't. You can't force it on them. It won't happen. Now again, we're speaking in generalities. You will have some friends who are open enough, or perhaps on their own journey and awake enough, that they will revel in your awakening and you will find support in that. And I'm not talking about that. I'm trying to help people understand that what happens when you wake up, what most people experience, is destructive in nature. Not the horny pole part. Yeah. Don't let me alone in a china shop. You know, and here's the hard one, as Kelly will tell you, the family. You know, especially if you are, and you know, I use words like unfortunate or unlucky or lucky, but those are words. At the end of the day, it's all fortunate. And I need you to keep that in mind, okay? This is all part of this glorious process. And as much as it may sting, as much as it may hurt, as much as you may perceive your suffering, it is necessary. And there is literally the jewel at the heart of the lotus. That diamond is waiting for you. It really is. So family is a really tough one, and if you happen to come from a religious background, of course, that becomes even tougher, because you, in your conscious awakening, will supersede religion rather quickly. If you don't right away, you'll only have to listen to one or two more sermons, and you'll walk out feeling really uncomfortable. Now, work or career, you know, this comes in everything from realizing that your job was doing harm, to understanding that you never wanted to do this and that you don't love it, and you want to do something that you love and you want to express yourself. And that can lead to financial picture changes. I walked through them all. I really did. You know, luckily all of my family was dead early, so that was a no-brainer. I didn't have to worry about having any family come back on me. You know, I still communicate with them sometimes. Quite frankly, they're on in their own lives, and we weren't that close, really. I mean, I really did appreciate what my mother did. Honey, can you get the door, please? Thank you, sweetie. So, you know, all these aspects of ourselves may disappear in that and may not ever come back. And it can literally feel like our life is being destroyed. And indeed, what we thought was life, what we thought was living, is being destroyed. And it has to be destroyed. The cup must be emptied. Day 2. We woke up yesterday morning and everything that we thought was sane is now crazy. In day 2, and again, these are figurative days. These are kind of like the cycles we go through, and I've broken it up into a few cycles or periods we go through. Very similar to like the steps of the grieving process, for example. These are like the steps of the I woke up process. Day 2 can often lead to depression and we can't cope. And the reason being is that we don't understand anything anymore. We don't understand that which is outside of ourselves. Hon, do you need?
No, it's all right.
Okay. We don't understand what's happening outside of ourselves, and we do not understand and we cannot cope with the immense amount of changes that are occurring. And we can become quite depressed. We can look at things in the world as hopeless. We can look at our lives and where we are as hopeless, like we're hopeless to escape, like we've been trapped. Yeah, you know, Cindy, boy, I tell you, Cindy wrote, my family blamed my changing on my husband. Everything was his fault. You know, I swear that you guys must be living our lives down there, because in Kelly's case, boy, it was all Garhen's fault. You know, right down to being the spawn of the devil. You know, the man who cheated on Kelly repeatedly and was convicted of being a pedophile, and told her that if she ever told anyone, basically that he'd kill her. Okay. Went and whined to his pastor, and his pastor wanted to come over and try and exorcise me from the house. Like that would work. I'm much too powerful for that. You know, it would take about 200 Catholic priests. And I might be getting to feel a little bit of a burn. So in this, and yeah, Jennifer says, yeah, the changes happen so fast. They do. They really do. Everything begins to crumble. It's literally like an earthquake hits you, and then the cliffs of your ego begin to fall. That's a pretty good analogy, actually. I know that one. It hurts when you hit the bottom. Your normal communications are non-functional. You don't have anyone to talk with. Because all the people you're used to being with, oh, a Yankee. Well, that explains it all, Cindy. I'd have to agree with your family then. Sorry, Jeff. But our communications are non-functional, right? I mean, we don't have that support base anymore, because all the sleeping people we used to sleep right along with are still sleeping. There's some things we have to start doing right away, and we have to do them out of self-preservation and out of a need to bring some sense of stillness and peace to ourselves. And that, strangely enough, always comes back to some form of meditation. And when I say meditation, don't get limited to sitting cross-legged on a Purusha grass mat. I mean, open your mind. You can meditate during yoga. I love moving meditation. I used to meditate on a 10K swim. I used to love swimming 10K. I would swim it slow and steady. And I would just Breathe in and out, so hum, as I breathed and swam. Walking meditation, cycling meditation. Don't do driving meditation, just not a good idea. It really isn't. But you can make anything into a moment of conscious awareness, and the more attention you start bringing to conscious awareness, the better off you're going to become. And the reason being is when things first go sideways on day one, when you wake up and you realize that everything that you thought was sane is actually pretty crazy. Excuse me. You need your egoic tendencies at the same time your egoic tendencies that are causing you problems will become magnified. It's just like in the Bible or periods in our history when you hear of anyone becoming more and more rarefied spiritually, they're under so-called, where do I get all my fingers in here? There we go. Demonic attack, right? This guy comes after you. That's not actually what happens. What's happening is that your ego is disintegrating and it begins to fight for its life. It doesn't understand yet that it's not going to die. So we need to start a practice, and we need to start a practice right away. And please, even 10 or 15 minutes of meditation twice a day, coupled with a few moments of conscious breathing, will go so far. Remember that still little candle within you. After, especially if we're leaving, meditate by being with your cat. Cats are the ultimate in Zen masters. They really are. Eckhart Tolle said it. I've always believed it myself. The Egyptians were onto it. I mean, really. And I loved that post. Absolutely, cats would never form a religion. Why? Because each one of them knows that it's God. Right? I know our cat does, wherever she's hiding right now. So, if you've come out of religious circles, of course, and I did this one about, well, what do you pray after you come out of religion? Who do you pray to? And that was really well received. A lot of people struggle with that. Well, the same thing applies to ritual. You have to, and rather than make this difficult, make this really fun. Set up your own little altar. Set up your own little room. It can be in a closet, a spare closet where it's on the top shelf and you're going to kneel down there. Or even shut yourself in the closet. When I was young, the closet was my favorite place to sleep and hang out. I had a sleeping bag in there, and I'd read my little Archie comics. And I had a little crystal diode radio. First I had a 1 crystal radio, and then I finally had a 3 crystal radio. No, I'm really telling my age. This is before you could turn a dial to tune it. The point being, we need to create our own ritual. And you see, there is advantage in ritual. That's one thing about religion that they got right. And again, religion does lots of good, as well as lots of harm. Kind of just like everything else. Ritual is a conscious mindset and performing physical actions and often involving speech as well. So what you're doing is you're engaging mind, words, and actions all in the same direction. You're consciously enacting with ceremony, with reverence. And this reverberates through your entire being and through the whole holistic being that you are. Oh yeah, cats are great healers when they want to be. They can also be a real pain in the ass. A perfect example of the yin and the yang in a cat, eh? You just love it when they're curled up under your arm. And I know karma will come and, I do have recurring skin cancer issues, and I've got about another half dozen lesions have already popped up this spring. And I don't get worried about such things. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I'll go see the doctor when I have time. But the cat will curl up and she'll put her paws on me and she'll purr, and I can tell she's sending me the healing vibe. You know, she's saying you need some help here, and I let her do it, and I love her for it. And when she's done, you know, she'll tootle and curl up at the foot of our bed. And I really appreciate it. It's a wonderful thing. So do find yourself a ritual, make ritual, have yourself an altar. You know, it can be the top drawer in a dresser even, where you're just going to open it and stand there and gaze upon something that you've chosen that has meaning to you. You see, everything that we're going to do like this, they're all artifacts. They're all things to remind us, right? We don't get caught up in the picture. We use the picture as a reminder, to remind us of what we truly are, to reminder of why we're really here, right? Day 3, dum 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 dum. And where is day 3? There it is. Day 3, Judgment Day. This is the big day. If you've made it through the depression and you've managed to find yourself a little bit of balance by engaging in some practices while you're trying to figure out what your life is all about now that you have woken up, and again, that can take a while. Be patient with yourself. Day 3 is Judgment Day. The war begins in earnest. And I know I'm speaking over dramatically right now, okay? So we need to be clear. There's no judgment and there's no war. But here's what happens on Judgment Day, okay? You got to remember, you woke up, but your ego is still there too. When we wake up, it's really easy to become judgmental. I'm guilty of that. Man, when I first woke up, I judged everything. I made God in the Old Testament look like a pussy when it came to judging. And that takes some work. It really did. And we do it because we're seeing a larger picture, but half of us is still grounded in the old picture. And that half of us is still grounded in the old picture still has those old egoic tendencies. You know, and with the new knowledge that the ego has gained, the new open, expanded awareness, judgment is easy to fall into. And we have to be on guard for that. We really do, because it can be a never-ending trap. And in that trap, we stay on day 2. The day 3 never fully dawns on us. We get into that judgment mode and we stay there on our morning cup of coffee on day 3, and we never leave that. The war that begins in earnest, and there is no war, and yet it's going to feel like it's a war, okay, is the war between you and you. You know, people would say, well, it's a war between higher self and ego. You got to be kidding me. It's your higher self that's manifesting the ego. If your higher self wanted the ego to do what it wanted, it would snap the ego like a twig. But it never does that. Because your higher self is non-judgmental and understands free will implicitly. The war is between you and you. The war is between that which you know you're capable of becoming and that which you wish to become, and all the things that want to keep you small, all the negative fear-based things, all the guilt-based things, and all of those things have an energy, and we would call that, again, my 62-cent props that have been invaluable to me. And I keep doing it to make a point to Kelly. You know, she didn't want me to buy these for 62 cents. And I told her, honey, I never buy anything without a good reason. And it's true. And these had a lot of value. This is the war that begins in earnest. All the highest things you believe about yourself. All the truths that you've absorbed in your new conscious awareness. And all the things that you've been programmed with. All the old patterns, all the old perceptions, all the small, selfish parts of ourselves. This is the war. It's not a war with your higher self. It's not a war with spirit. It's not soul trying to gain dominance over your ego. Okay? What you are is that sea of consciousness. If it wanted dominance over anything, there'd be no choice. Thankfully. We live in a universe of free choice. On day 3, we can become trapped between two worlds. And again, these days are figurative days. Exactly. Doubts flood in, flip-flopping. You know, like me this morning, I woke up and I was in a great state. And, you know, one little trigger on a little bit of a hot button subject. And boy, the tiger came out like someone had squished his tail between a couple of bricks. Even the cat ran. And, you know, those things are going to happen. They really will. I apologized to Kelly and you know, explained to her exactly what had happened, and she's aware of that. You know, she said, "Well, I'm sorry to make you frustrated." It's like, honey, no, you don't make me frustrated. I chose frustration. I chose to let frustration get to me. My choice, my responsibility. Not blame, but responsibility. We can get trapped between these two worlds, and one part of us is so overjoyed and so energized and so looking to seeing more and more of our new consciousness. And we get excited, and we want to tell other people about it too. And we want them to raise their consciousness. And, you know, here's the rub. You can't make anybody raise their consciousness. We have to learn to unstick ourselves. And the way to do that is not to run from the world. I've been guilty of that in the past. You know, I ran, and I was literally the crazy guy living under the mountain in a cave. Right? I had more hair than I did now. The way you get by it is whenever you can, you immerse yourself in the world of the sleeping masses. You bring your awareness to it. And then when you feel yourself succumbing and you feel ego beginning to take over again, you remove yourself from that space. You come back to your holy place. You come back to the place you can recharge and make yourself whole again. And over time, you will move out more and more and more and spend less and less time needing to recharge as your own conscious awareness grows. But this period in day 3 can last a long time where, you know, you hear the words and you read the words and you experience it from time to time, but still you're surrounded by all this egoic behavior. And it's driving you nuts. The dark nights. I didn't make sense to me that I said the dark night dawns, because then it wouldn't be night, or I don't know. So the dark nights, okay? This is the true beginning of the dark night of the soul. The day 1 and day 2 has been kind of like walking up the stairs to the temple. And make no mistake, it is a temple. It is a temple dedicated to fire. Day 1 and day 2, you're walking up those stairs towards the furnace. And in day 3, you are going to be consumed by that furnace, consumed by that fire within that temple. And it will last, and it will last, and it will last until you finally surrender those last pieces of yourself. And then from the ashes, your consciousness, that which you truly are, you will rise again as a phoenix is reborn into that glorious, consciously aware, powerful spiritual being that you truly are. No longer subject to the whims of your egoic mind. This is love. It's compassion. I know it doesn't seem like it, okay? I could get you. I really do. But I have to tell you, 3,284 years later, I know without a doubt that what's happening to you right now, if you're going through this stuff, the Sea of Consciousness loves you so much. It has got your back. It is helping you in every way possible wake up. To fully wake up. This is the only way it can be done. Since time immemorial, this is the technique. This is the way it works. All that you think you are must burn away. All that you have in your head must be emptied out. All your conceptions, all your ideas, all the thoughts must roast in the fiery furnaces of that temple. Rarefied, purified, reduced of your fragments of ego. And you will come out of that furnace. This is the most glorious thing ever. And yeah, it's going to hurt like nothing has ever hurt before. But it's going to be the last time you ever hurt. And when you walk out the other side of that temple, when you walk out of that fiery furnace, reborn, suffering will be a thing that you can hardly even conceptualize anymore. Yeah, I know. The burning, hey? Sometimes we can really feel those flames too, hey, Jennifer? I know, I can. But and we can see it as an assault, you know, we really can. We can sit there and look, okay, like what is, you know, the Christian God punishing me all of a sudden because I'm going against him sort of deal, or whatever gets into your head about it. It is not the case. This is love. This is compassion. This is the flames that we must walk through to purify ourselves, if that's the way we're going to put it, okay? And yeah, sometimes they're really hot. Learn to relish that too. Learn to, the faster we learn to surrender, the faster we let go, the faster we give up on judgment and anger and all the negative states of being, and focus our thoughts on the highest good and hold in our hearts the spiritual truth that nothing in this universe happens that does not benefit the whole. It's all synchronistic. You are so loved. You really are. I love you. Kelly loves you. The whole Sea of Consciousness loves you. We're all brothers and sisters in this together. You know, we all have to go through this. And we can all be guiding lights to each other to help make the journey just a little bit easier. And as more and more people awaken, as more and more you come into your own strength, into your own power again, your creativity and your direction will begin to manifest for you. Of that I have no doubt. Except this time, it'll be your highest desires. This time, it'll be the highest good that truly serves you. Because you know what? I learned a long time ago, the universe knows far better than I do what truly serves me. And therefore, I leave it all to the Sea of Consciousness. Much love and namaste to you. I think we're going to wrap it up here this evening. I hope this has been a little bit helpful. Details a little bit of the pathway and leads into that dark night, leads into that temple where we are burned in that fiery furnace, where ego must be burned up. And again, ego does not get destroyed. It's refashioned, rebuilt, reminded. We need it. It's part of us. Our love to all of you. Have a wonderful evening. And we look forward to catching, what's tomorrow? Thursday? We're going to have a live video tomorrow on Facebook. And then, of course, the weekend is coming too. Have a wonderful night, everyone. Take care.